Well, viewers, we are back once again. As said on Wednesday, that on Friday, 6 o'clock, we'll be back, and we are back. Yesterday, we were actually, that was a very, very quick session, 491 NSW. And today, we are back with further more updates with regards to migration. How are you, Saurabh?
Good, thanks. Ankur, how are you doing today?
I'm very, very good. And thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to actually doing this live with our own registered migration agent, Mr. Saurabh Smar.
Thanks, Ankur, and pretty much thank you to you as well for being part of this migration webinar that we've been doing from the last, it's almost been like 6 to 8 weeks in a row,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that we've been doing this. And pretty much today we will be discussing, as you already explained, that we will quickly go through with the NSW 491 options, and then few more migration updates that happened recently. And yeah, and if people have any questions, any live questions and answers, I would recommend them to put a question there for us to comment on. And if you do have any doubts or anything, you can either contact us directly as well. My number is listed up there, so you can contact either of us through there as well. You can contact us through our Facebook page, and I'm a registered migration agent, and my migration agent registration number is MARN 1802044. And so we do assist people with a lot of different migration kind of situations, whether it's an employer-sponsored visas, or it's a general skill migration, or if it's a family-sponsored visa. And for any kind of issues that if you do face with your migration or citizenship related inquiries, you feel free to assist you as well.
Beautiful. So, as said, that states they are actually coming up with their requirements. They're on the verge of coming with their requirements, and I think November last they are going to come up with all the requirements. Is it actually true, Saurabh? Because everyone is desperately waiting for the requirements to come out so they can lodge their 190 subclass or 491 visas. Saurabh.
So yeah, so we are actually getting so much, this kind of questions from a lot of people as well, that when the states are going to actually open their nomination criteria and their requirements, when they start accepting applications, etc. So previously, as South Australia did advise that they are planning on opening up end of October, and then that has actually pushed to the end of November. Since we're sitting at 20th of November, and pretty much there's only 10 more days left to end of November, and then the December is around the corner as well. So let's hope before Christmas we probably will be able to get some good news from different states as well. As recently, NSW has also advised that they are actually planning on bringing the NSW 491 options for different RDAs, and the different RDAs will be the one who will be looking into organizing these new 491 requirements. So they are the ones who will publish their occupational list. They are the one who's going to nominate and assess applications as well. So those are the things that will come in play as well. And hopefully, it looks like the states, they are all in talks with the federal government. And hopefully by December, I would say, we would pretty much be able to obtain the right information.
Okay, but like the way NSW 491, they actually come up with the requirements, not with the occupation list at the moment. We are talking about requirements. Seems like that most of the states, like if we talk about the previous trend as well, that NSW is being actually followed by rest of the states. So are we actually assuming the same stuff is going to be happen soon?
Um, we are we are actually anticipating that the thing that other states might follow the same pathway as well. They might follow NSW's footsteps, and would be able to publish some more details very shortly onto their websites as well about what the new requirements going to be, and how they are actually going to be assessed based on the different occupations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Saurabh. And it's my request to all our viewers, those who are actually listening us or those who are actually watching our live session, if they are having any of the questions, they can put forth, and our registered migration agent will be more than happy to assist them.
Absolutely. So yeah, so sometimes the this video might not be straight away helpful to you, but it probably be helpful to your friends or family. So I would always recommend our viewers to share this video, so that maybe it might helpful to your friends and families, where they can get some kind of information that would help them meet their permanent residency goal in Australia.
Right. Saurabh, let's just follow the trend. On Wednesday, very quickly, you and me went on live, and then we talked about 491 NSW updates. So I think it's time for us to just refresh that Wednesday memory, because it's still fresh and people are actually still calling you. They really wanted to know the 491 NSW and how this is going to impact the coming future. So, would you mind giving us would you mind please just refresh those updates once again for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's actually a good idea. So we can quickly go through all the the requirements for 491 for New South Wales itself. So let's without wasting any more time, let's dig in. So the most important thing is that, as previously before 1920 or before 1819, there used to be RDAs, that's Regional Development Australia offices across New South Wales. So there were different regional bodies, Orana, Murray, Far West. So these are the examples of those bodies, and they will be the one who will be assessing these nomination applications for 491 for New South Wales. And so what the requirements for them will be is they're going to publish their own occupation list plus what their requirements will be. So pretty much they have basic criteria which New South Wales has already published are the one that we will be discussing today. Though we don't have access to their occupation list because they have not published them yet. So we would notify our viewers whenever this kind of information is available. So they are the most important. There are three streams to be eligible for New South Wales 491 nomination. Number one is if you are living and working in regional news NSW. So the basic criteria for that is that you must have a valid skill assessment and must be living and working in your designated occupation in designated area of New South Wales for at least 12 months. What does it mean is that if you are a chef or you are a cook, you must be, and if you're living in Orange, you must be working within that Orange area as a cook or as a chef for at least 12 months. And provided you also have a skill assessment in that occupation as well, or a closely related occupation as well. So that is also works as well. And when it comes to the second stream, which is if you have recently completed your study in regional NSW. So there are some universities and institutes available in regional NSW, such as Wollongong University. There's a TAFE available in Wagga Wagga as well. So if you do study from there, you finish your studies from there in the last 2 years,
Mhm.
you probably be eligible to apply for NSW 491 as well,
Okay.
provided the study that you have obtained is actually quite closely related to your nominated occupation and you have actually got a successful skill assessment as well. And the study needs to be at least 2 years. That meets the Australian study requirement, that based on those studies, if you were able to apply for a 485 visa, that is acceptable. So, and thirdly, the last stream that they have is actually about living and working outside of regional NSW. So, say for example, if you are not living or working in regional NSW, but you actually have a job offer for, say for example, in Orange or any other regional area in your nominated occupation or a closely related occupation, then you can actually get the this stream as well. That's job offer stream, and you can get a NSW 491 nomination approved, provided that you have a minimum of 12 months of employment and it is full time, at least 35 hours per week. And it is located in the designated regional area of NSW. And within the same option, within the third mainstream where you are living and working outside of regional NSW, the second most important stream, which is actually for offshore candidates. So if you are actually outside of Australia, most important scenario is you must have a skill assessment and you must have a minimum of 5 years of work experience in your skilled occupation or a close related occupation. So that is a very important key thing. So 5 years of experience and a skill assessment. That's pretty much what you need. And moving forward, the last stream that one we got is family ties in regional NSW. So in this one, as like other general skill migration program, you would need your skill assessment regardless, no matter what visa you are applying for. If it's a general skill migration, you will need the assessment. And you must have an immediate family member. Okay, so it is different than a 491 family sponsor where you can get a close relative as well, such as a your first cousin
Mhm.
who's living in a designated area. But in this particular 491 option, because it is sponsored by state, it's not sponsored by federal government as 491 family sponsor. This is still a 491 state sponsored, but it has an option where you have a family ties in regional NSW. So provided you have a skill assessment, you have an immediate family member who is either your grandfather, your grandmother, your parents, or your brother or sister. And if as long as they are Australian permanent resident, they are citizen, they are eligible New Zealand citizen as well, or they are a NSW, they are living in there, and they are also got a provisional 489 holder. That is also very important thing. There's a lot of people who have their brother or sisters who are currently on a 489 visa, living in a regional NSW, so they can actually be able to sponsor their brother and sisters as well if they are actually want to get the NSW 491 option. As long as there are a couple of requirements that the relatives must meet, that they must be residing in that designated area for at least 24 months. And um, and so that is the most important requirement. So if someone has already got recently got 489 visa and then they actually been living in the designated area of NSW, it have to meet the requirement of at least 2 years. So yeah, so as long as you meet those requirements, you could be eligible for NSW 491 option as well. And as you know, NSW is a big state, and they probably would have a good amount of numbers available for their nomination as well. Though, when the federal government a couple of months ago, when they did allocate interim numbers, they did allocated a lot of 491 numbers to South Australia. And let's hope that NSW moving forward gets a lot of numbers, because they were actually quite lenient in giving out the invitations for nominations as well. So that is 491 NSW in a nutshell. What do you think, Ankur? Did we left out anything, or?
Not really, not really. I think I just wanted to cover bits and pieces from everywhere. And recently I've seen one of the trend as well, Saurabh, that the inclination towards 858 visa, right? And we've got some updates with regards to that as well, that they actually abolished the 124 subclass 124, which is like distinguished talent visa, which can be lodged offshore, which is not the case anymore. So would you mind giving us
Yeah,
some
so
updates on that?
absolutely. So, as people know, when it comes to distinguished talent visa, a lot of people call it global talent visa as well. So, this is actually, they have two subclass 124 and subclass 858. So, 124 is actually an offshore application for the people who are actually outside Australia. They do apply for that visa. So, that has actually been closed as of now. So, as long as you have actually lodged that application before 14th of November 2020, those applications would still be accepted as of now. But from 14th of November, from starting from 15th November midnight, so those 1 to 4 is no longer available for new applicants. They would actually have to apply through an 858 application. So that is the most important criteria. And there was some kind of bit of details that were amended in there as well regarding where the person needs to be when they do apply for the visa. And also there are certain temporary and visitor visa holders, the one that cannot apply. So those are the things that were actually repealed, that were actually removed from the criteria, from the legislation. Plus, if you actually are in Australia and if you hold a bridging visa A, B, or C, you could also apply for 858 as well. So that was another thing as well. And previously there were no health waivers available for 858 visas. So, for example, if you do have exceptional talent, but you do have a family member who does not, by any means, does not meet the family criteria, the health criteria, then at that previous scenario, you don't actually had any kind of, the health waivers available. But you do have those health waivers available now because due to the recent updates.
All right. And I've seen when we actually chat to each other normally, I've seen that you're actually getting a lot of calls with regards to this GTI visa, Global Talent Visa, which is Distinguished Talent Visa. And still, people are not actually able to understand what what exactly the talent is, right? They are actually need to understand that what exactly the government is actually after, because there are a couple of thresholds which they need to meet. So would you mind just give us or refresh the memories of our past sessions, please, Saurabh?
Yeah, so when it comes to global talent independent program, so the purpose of that program is actually to look for very strong talent that Australia actually need, and basically what they actually look for is that they want to see if you have some kind of exceptional talent. Say for example, when I say exceptional talent, you don't actually have to, you know, it can be, there are basically six major sectors. They are target sectors, okay? But you could also have a talent which is actually, say for example, if you were a prominent drummer, or if you were a prominent an actor, a singer, or you were a sports person in your country, and if you do have those kind of what's I called a talent, you could also be eligible for subclass 858 through distinguished talent visa as well. So what I can tell you in a nutshell is when it comes to target sectors, so there are seven different target sectors that we have. First one is agriculture technology. Then there is a space and advanced manufacturing. And then there is a finance technology. Then there is energy and mining technology. There is a medical technology, cybersecurity, and quantum information, advanced digital data science, and information communication technology. So these are the seven target sectors. So what does a target sector means is that the government have actually allocated global talent officers who will be looking for these specific targets all around the world. So I did get the benefit of having a chat with one of the officers from New Zealand, and then we discussed about them, the kind of talent they are actually seeking for. So if you are someone who has the capability of even starting up a startup, and that startup has a very unique idea, and that would help Australian community in a wider sense, then also you are also eligible for global talent visa as well. And basically the most important requirement that then they look for is that how you can actually present it to the department, that look, my talent, that this is the kind of talent I have. And Ankur, what I have seen is most of the circumstances previously when we have received few clients like that,
Yeah.
people they do have that kind of talent, but it just they don't know how to present it to the department. So that's where they actually lack a lot. And so that is something that can make a lot of difference, something that you don't know how to present it to the department. It has to be persuasive enough, and then only the department will be persuaded to actually give you a global talent invitation. As you can see, that the number of GTI invitations have actually been gone three times the number that we had in the last financial year. So pretty much there is a very good this is a really good option for a lot of people as well. There's a lot of people who have actually done really well in their studies, who's got like really high GPA, and who have done worked on some good projects during their master's program, and they could also be eligible for this program. They don't know yet. So what I would recommend our clients is, or our viewers is, if you are listening and watching this video, then seek your options whether you are actually eligible for global talent visa program. Or another option is that if you are also earning higher income up to 153,600, or you also have the ability to attract a salary of that much or above, then you could also be eligible for this visa as well, where you can, if you are already earning that salary, you can show it by your current salary through your pay slips or an employment contract. And also, if you don't have that salary, you can explain about the future job offers that you can receive. Or if you are a recent PhD graduate or master's graduate, we can explain your talent and your research work in according to that.
Right. Thank you, Saurabh, for giving us the quick update with regards to Global Talent Visa and NSW 491. And I'm pretty much sure when it comes to 190 NSW, we still need to wait, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw Imran, he actually asked this question about the news for 190. Unfortunately, we don't know the response yet, and we actually haven't heard anything about the invitation round for the month of November. And if you compare this November to the November 2019, the November 2019 round was a really big round where we did receive a lot of invitations and stuff. But this round has been, there hasn't been any round yet. So let's hope things do go back to normal from December. That's how the government is anticipating as well, that now the COVID is out of Victoria, and hopefully things are going back to the way they were. And pretty much migration is a very important sector when it comes to skilled migration as well, and there's going to be invitations which will be going back to the way they were.
Thank you, Saurabh, for answering the question as well. In the meantime, and there is another update. Previously, I think the subclass 485 visa, like normally we call it TR,
Mhm.
when they wanted to call their loved ones, like their spouse, they need to lodge a sort of paper visa application. But things now changed. Everything is now electronic.
Yeah,
Would you
absolutely.
mind giving
So
us? Yeah, please,
yeah,
please.
so there were quite a few updates available for subclass 485 and 476 subsequent holders. So those people who previously would have to actually send an paper application to the processing office. But now that since then, there has been some amendments where people can actually they can apply for these visas online itself. So you no more writing those paper forms, sending them through Australia Post. Now you can just straight away apply online as well. So that is the facility that's available right now. So this was the major update that was done on 14th of November 2020, and previously, so any applications be done before 13th of November, so before 14th of November would be accepted the way they were. But moving forward from 13th November 11:59 p.m. Um, it's gone online, so people can actually apply for those applications online as well.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, for giving this update. And it's actually a good news for the viewers, those who are actually on their holding their 485 visa and wanted to call their subsequent entrant. Moving forward,
Absolutely.
the 186 visa, Saurabh, 186, which is we normally call ENS, Employer Nomination Scheme. And it's like two streams, like either you're holding 482 visa and then going forward for the 186 visa, which is your permanent residency, or direct entry as well. Like there is no 482 or 457, you're just moving straight on 186 permanent residency. And previously, there was no requirement that you need to actually publish that particular job into the market and then go for the proper research of that person. That you need to explore that yes, the person is there, like the Australian citizen or a permanent resident holder for that direct entry. But nowadays, it seems like that because of COVID-19, there are a couple of changes, like case officers, they are digging more deep into that. They are looking for that the person is actually the person the business is required, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, when it comes to, as the 482 visas as well, like employer sponsor visas, the most important thing is they actually need to look into that there is a genuine need of this person in the business. So what does that mean is that the business actually need that person, individual with their skill set, with their skill set to work in the business itself. And so that is where they actually introduce a labor market testing. They be that the employers needs to demonstrate to the department that you would need to do a how did you actually tested your local labor. When we say local labor, they want to see that if you did enough efforts to look for an Australian citizen or a permanent resident for that role. And if you were not able to get that right person who is a permanent resident or a citizen, you can actually apply, and then you can say that then you can justify easily that look, I'm not able to get an Indian a cook who's working in an Indian restaurant from my local permanent residents and Australian citizens. So that is how they justify that as well. And when it comes to 186 and so the employer nomination scheme permanent visa, previously there was no mandatory requirement for someone to do a labor market testing. But what the department has done is they have actually, though they have not clearly said that this is actually part of the legislation, but what they have said is that the case officers would actually be paying close attention in regards to the genuineness of the position when they do look into the labor market testing arrangements. So the previously what the arrangements were that you can only post into two job advertisements, two job platforms. Either it can be Job Active or it can be any other platforms. But from 1st of October 2020, the government made it mandatory for employers to publish their details on Job Active, which is a government website, plus any other two website, the one that has a national reach. It provided it can be Indeed, Seek, Jora, or there could be others as well. Though it was not mandatory for 186 aspirants to actually apply for these, to launch the advertisement on these platforms on Indeed, Jora, Seek, or etc. But what now is people are doing is they would actually have to provide to the department to show that they have actually there is a genuine need of employee in the business, and they did tested the local labor market as well. And after testing the local labor market, they were not able to obtain any good results, and that is why they have actually aligned to actually apply for the to hire this foreign employee and would like to sponsor him for a 186 employer nomination scheme.
Thank you very much, Saurabh. I've seen one trend as well, our permanent residency aspirants. They are actually just inclined towards three streams: 189, 190, or 491. And as been said by you in previous sessions as well, that explore the opportunities, because there are other opportunities as well, like the ENS visa or the 482 visa, which is like in which the employer is actually involved. And moving forward, let's talk about one key occupation, which is like there are a lot of people, those who are studying their MPA, Masters of Professional Accounting, or related to accounts, and the accounting occupation itself is on 110 and 105. That's like the biggest mark I've ever seen. I've seen people, those who actually received their invitation on 65 points as well, but that was the past. The current trend is 110 points. You need to have at least a century, then only you can
Absolutely.
attain your permanent residency. What solution or what sort of like advice would you be able to give them in a journal, in a nutshell, not specifically, so they can feel that yes, the hope is there? Because if they'll feeling that if the hope is not there, that means they all feel shattered. But because you are in the industry, you represented the industry from a couple of years, you know what the pain is. So would you mind giving us just a bit of advice with regards to especially the accountants?
Absolutely. So when it comes to accountants as well, a lot of people they do lose hope, and that they're not sure what to do. In this kind of when they do study, finish their master of professional accounting, and then they start to struggle as well. So a lot of people currently, as you can see, there is a trend where a lot of people what they do is they do study master of professional accounting, and in the second year, they start studying an additional course, maybe out of their hobby, or if they just want to look for other options as well. So they're trying to do some kind of a trade course on the side. or etc. And what I would recommend people to do is, if you are doing an accounting, studying master professional accounting, start working in your field. Okay, if you start working in your field, as soon as your 485, if as soon as you receive your 485 visa, start working and as a full-time accountant with an organization. So once those 2 years finishes, you would actually have 2 years of full-time work experience based on that 485 visa. After that, as soon as your 485 visa expires, apply for your subclass 482 visa, where your employer can sponsor you. So, but very careful, there are some caveats on this occupation. Wherever you are working, make sure that the employer have at least more than 5 people. Okay, and then the turnover is at least $1 million. So if you do meet these two requirements, your employer can sponsor you on a 482 visa. And once you are on a 482 visa, if in order to obtain permanent residency as an accountant, so there is a subclass 1 is 6 direct entry employer nomination scheme, where you can actually get permanent residency as an accountant. Okay, you don't need to do NATI, you don't need to do professional year, you don't need to do 8 each and all those stuff. Only thing you need to do is just work in your field, be as skilled as you are. Only can get, as long as you can get 6 each and can get your skill assessment as well. But as a know, for accountants they need 7 each to get their skill assessment. So pretty much get those basic score with your qualification, you can get a skill assessment done. And then once you have the skill assessment ready, we can you can actually apply for subclass 1 is 6 direct entry through your employer, because then you will be working for the same employer for the next in during your 485 482. And then that makes it quite genuine as well, that you genuinely wants to work with your employer, and then the employer genuinely need you because you have been working from them from such a long time. And when it comes to some another option, if some people might not get lucky enough to find a employment in there as an accountant, then a lot of people they look into concurrent courses as well, where they do study a trade course so that they can have additional skills, because the more skills you have, the better it is. And then they probably sometimes people do find a hobby. Sometimes they do study master of professional accounting, and they also like to work on cars and stuff, so they do an automotive course on the side where they can actually get the assessment done as an automotive motor mechanic as well. So those are the kind of options available as well, but those options only works on an individual basis, like what is actually beneficial for your own scenario. So it's not that there is a one size that fits all. It's actually it's a different thing where one size fits you and might another size might not fit you as well. So this is what the accountants options are in kind of current scenario as well. Also be very careful. A lot of accountants would think that once the NSW 491 would open, they would probably move there and then apply for that. Be very careful because the occupation list is not out yet. Okay, and probably those RDA bodies, they would be because those are regional bodies. What
Mhm.
does it mean is the regional area would need more trades, occupations, building, construction, those kind of occupations that they probably would be in a high demand. That's how I am anticipating, but I could be wrong as well. So be very careful what you check for, and yeah. So that's pretty much all from my end, Ankur.
Thank you very, very much, Saurabh. And the one more question I would like to ask for the IT occupant, IT occupation people, those who are actually sitting at 90 points, and they are thinking that 90 is one of the peak of the points, and
Mm.
sooner or later they'll be getting their invitation. So what advice would you please give them? Because as you said, there are a lot of people those are actually calling you and sitting at 90 points. You feel sometimes that yes, the pain is there.
Absolutely. So, as once you do finish your Masters of IT or Bachelor's of IT qualification, you can get up to 90 points, provided you do your professional year, you do 8 each and NATI. And these three things done, you're sitting at 90 points. think of this is my advice to all the IT occupants that what do you if you are studying a master's of IT, you got at least 40 people studying with you, I would say, in your class. If all of them are actually be able to get 90 points themselves, imagine how many more batches of studies people are doing as well all around Australia. So there will be thousands of people sitting at 90 points. Whereas so what actually going to push you forward in terms of getting an invitation is if you get that extra 5 points through an employment option. That will also help the other states as well to show that this guy is actually has a an occupation that is actually out of extra, he's got an extra thing. And also, say for example, I would like to share one case study right now. So we have this client who is currently working with a big four banks. I don't want to name that bank in particular. So the salary, so the person is actually he actually working for as soon as they finish their masters in information technology, they did data analytics, and then they got a job with one of the big four banks. And luckily the person was actually quite skilled. They got the salary of at the start at least 147,000, though it was fall short of 153,900. But if you do include super and everything, you can actually add them up, and it did went up to 155, up to 160. And the person was not really good in English, so they could not obtain up to they could not even obtain 7H. But what they were good at, their skills. So they know how to do things done. They know how to develop those programs. So what happened is then we actually advised them about the global talent visa. So the person actually came to us to learn about professional year programs, where they were willing to spend $11,500 to do the professional year program. But based on their profile, what we suggested them is that look, you could be eligible for a global talent visa. And the person was not aware of that what kind of visa is that? Is that a permanent residency? They all thought about that 189 or 190 is actually permanent residency. It's not about 858. So what we did is we actually help them fix up their resume, and help them, assist them in providing a nice cover letter where they can actually notify the where they actually explain their skills. We were able to add those, to link those skills to the target sectors that we have. And based on those target sectors, we choose advanced ICT. And subsequently, in less than 4 weeks time, we actually received their global talent invite. So the person was actually could not believe it that they actually received the invitation. And if the person would have to go through 8 each nati professional year program process, they probably would have still sitting today at maybe 85 or 90 points at the max, and then they wouldn't have any other option at all. So now they receive a GTI invite with only 6 each, without a skill assessment, without doing professional year program, without doing nati. So they don't actually have to go through all those hassles, etc. Only thing they had is they finish their master's degree, their student visa, and then they go on a 485 visa. And during the 485, they actually was able to obtain employment. And during their employment as well, they actually showed, they demonstrated their exceptional skills. That how good and how important their technical skills are, and how easy and how their skills could be beneficial to a wider Australian community. So that's how we linked their skills to the target sectors, and that actually helped them get their GTI invitation as well without any hassle. And as everyone knows, the GTI visa is the fastest permanent residency. That means that if you do launch a visa, the very next day a case officer gets allocated, and then they request you to do a medical. Once you do the medical, you get the visa granted. That's it. There is no waiting at all. There is no other option, no other issues at all. So that was our case study for a global talent visa as well, in a nutshell.
Thank you, Saurabh. It was actually a very, very good case study because The person who didn't know that if he is going to represent his skills, which he knows that yes, he's got those skills. What you need to do is to just present your skills in a nicer manner on a piece of paper and then represent it to the case officer, and then you can see that miraculous results and wonders can be happen. So I think on this very good note, we should actually say bye to our viewers. And yes, it's Friday, is sunny. Those who wants to go for a party or something, they can go. And again, I'm going to assist Saurabh for further applications. Poor me.
So yeah, no, it is Friday, and yeah, probably, and it's a nice sunny day as well, and no more lockdown, in Victoria. But
Absolutely.
feel bad for South Australians where they actually have to undergo another 6 days of lockdown.
Oh,
Um, but at least we have handled that for the last 6 months, which is a good
mm,
thing. Not yeah, and then currently we're sitting at no cases from the last 21 days, which is actually a really good thing. And yeah, so pretty much we done for the session today, and hopefully we would like our viewers to come join us next Friday as well. And the recording will be available for them to actually view whatever we discussed. We discussed a lot of case studies today about how you can actually look for PR options. We discussed about accountants, how they can get permanent residency, and also an IT occupations as well. So if you were not able to join us through our live session, you can watch this video at your own pace. And yeah, so we'll see you guys next Friday.
yeah. See you next Friday.